Breaking news and all of that other wonderful stuff. If you're a Montreal fan, how do you feel about this? Josh Anderson, as I was putting this board together, and going, all right, well, we'll do a quick little video here. Josh Anderson means there's a lot more intrigue to this. He has signed a seven-year, $38.5 million contract. Wow, that's the amount of term and the amount of money on that. That is a prime contract. Keep in mind that just feels like a lot. It does. It feels like a lot with the flat cap and all that other wonderful stuff. It feels like Bergevin putting a lot of money at Josh Anderson. So for anybody who said, "Hey, we are glad we got rid of Max Domi because he wanted $5.3 million," I understand it's a shorter term. I understand he's going to go to unrestricted free agency, but the longer term with Anderson has also bought a higher cap hit. Now, I didn't see anything on Cap Friendly about a no trade clause or a no movement clause. I would imagine at that amount of money in those amount of years, there's probably going to be some version of a no trade clause attached to it. I would imagine, probably, because he clearly wanted some security, and Anderson will be a Montreal Canadien for quite some time. So this, and there's tremendous risk to this. There's a lot of risk to this contract. This is a player that has had, a 27 goal season, and I understand the goal scoring ability, and I've talked about his hitting and all that wonderful stuff before, but yeah, there's a lot of risk to this. So I'll discuss Josh Anderson over the next couple of days. We'll take a look at his contract, and compare it now with his numbers and all that. But yeah, Anderson, 7 years, 38.5. Wow, that's a lot of money. And then the reason I'm wearing a Ducks jersey, which is a trade that came down just after I had posted the last News of the Day video. Eric Gudbranson's now a member of the Senators. Now, the reason that I'm giving Anaheim the win on this is $4 million in cap space. Gudbranson's contract, which had been envisioned when it was with Vancouver that they won't be able to move this, goes to Pittsburgh, goes to Anaheim, and now it's in Ottawa. So he's getting frequent flyer miles for sure. I hope Gudbranson fits in as well with Ottawa as he did in Anaheim. In Anaheim, it worked so much better than it did in Pittsburgh or in Vancouver, and it just felt like everything clicked. So I really hope for Gudbranson's sake that it clicks with Ottawa. And it feels like maybe Gudbranson is a replacement for Borowiecki, who's going to free agency tomorrow. Remember Borowiecki? We haven't been talking about him because there's so many free agents on the market. And for Anaheim, this $4 million saved. There's some holes in their lineup. Are they going to use free agency to try to shore things up? Do you put big money towards one player, or do you spend money and get a couple of medium players? We'll see. But Anaheim now is a player for tomorrow to keep an eye on, because clearly they are envisioning themselves getting better. And for Ottawa, the deal makes sense, as I said, because you're getting a replacement for Borowiecki. And in Gudbranson, you're getting a guy who can play physical hockey. He's a big player. And with the right fit, with the right partner on the blue line, Gudbranson can be very effective. It's a matter of finding the right partner and making sure that he's comfortable and can perform to the best of his ability. In other news, Kivlenieks, the number 3 goaltender in Columbus, who, if Columbus were to move one of their goaltenders, would become the backup, signs a 2-year deal. It's one of those two-way contracts. So we'll take a look at the 2 years as Cap Friendly is reporting it. $700,000 league minimum for this coming season, 2020-2021. But at the American Hockey League level, he'd earn $225,000. All of these dollars are always in U.S. $750,000 for the 2021-2022 season, $275,000 at the American Hockey League level. So Kivlenieks gets a pretty team-friendly contract. And honestly, Kivlenieks looked good when he got called up by Columbus this year. So if they didn't end up needing him as the backup, I think they could do a lot worse. So Columbus has all of a sudden got depth in net, where a year ago we were asking, I don't know, this Korpisalo-Merzlikins thing, we'll see. Worked out pretty well. Now, we look at junior hockey in Canada. There are some things a percolating. QMJHL, of course, had started play, but 2 teams were already sidelined due to COVID cases, and now the Sherbrooke Phoenix has been fallen with 8 positive cases. So again, and this is where, I've been talking about billet families. So a lot of these kids are going to be living with families that are taking them in during the hockey season. And so if these kids contract this, they bring that home, it goes to family. And again, it's highly contagious. And so the QMJHL, I think, has a major issue on its hands. Now, because they've got the divisions separated the way that they do, it's going to be isolated to that division. But you have to ask yourself, are there enough protocols in place? Are players breaking protocols? What's going on here? And so I think there's a lot of questions to be answered. The NFL, in the midst of a major outbreak of their own, the Titans clearly have been just not bothering with the guidelines as have been presented, or they made some kind of a break with those guidelines, or the guidelines aren't strict enough. One of those things has taken place for the National Football League, and now the QMJHL. We're looking at multiple teams being sidelined. And again, if you're the NHL, you're watching this as it takes place. Now, the OHL has announced that if they're going to have a season, and this is an if, that due to the outbreak and all of that, that there won't be body checking this year. Now, if I'm a National Hockey League team, I have tremendous concerns. Now, I understand. And far be it from me to say, well, this should be played in an unsafe manner. I get it. I do. However, to have National Hockey League prospects playing a season without body checking could affect their overall development, and it could affect their game. And so I don't know that you can have a season of minor hockey, even junior hockey, without body checking. You can have it at certain levels of hockey and it won't necessarily harm the product. But in the OHL, I think without body checking, I just don't think it works. So we haven't heard anything from the WHL about this. QMJHL is allowing body checking and all that. The Quebec government was looking at, maybe curbing fighting. But in general, the QMJHL is just going forward. And the OHL is saying we're going to have to play without body checking. I don't know how that works. I'm being honest, I don't know how that works. And again, if you're in the National Hockey League, for players you have, for individual teams that have players at that level, you might be saying, you know what, kid, you're great and everything. Maybe you're better off playing in Europe. So we'll see how that goes. It's quite the story right now. But for Montreal fans, so we'll come back to the Josh Anderson thing and the comparison now with Domi now that trade's taken place. I did the video a couple days ago for members on the channel on Josh Anderson, on his career, and where I thought there were reasons you could say that it's a really good move by Montreal and risks with this. This contract to me is risky. It's a risky contract. And does that mean that they set the market? The interesting thing is, of course, Montreal signed Edmondson, and it looked like Bergevin signed Edmondson for a cap hit that was very reasonable, comparatively speaking, to some of the other defensemen that have signed. So now he's signed Anderson. So is the Anderson contract also in line with the idea that it's a bargain that he signs this now rather than what he would have signed him for after tomorrow's signings have all come down? Mark Bergevin, he always gets people talking one way or the other. I'd be interested to know your thoughts regarding his move today to sign Anderson for the next 7 years. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. And tomorrow is going to be crazy. And if anything else happens from here, I will be here to report on it. Thanks for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.